Last time on Desperate Attune, the crew had managed to destroy the Ancestor Tree table, but they hadn't managed to put a scratch on Klow. The Ustad was more than a match for Clem and Mushfiq combined, and Saeeda had fallen into a deep trance where their memories were being overwritten with images of the Prince of Endings. Clem gave Mushfiq the go-ahead to withdraw with Saeeda while they covered the retreat, but Klow's full attention was too much, as a flurry of attacks and counterattacks put Clem on the ground. They were only spared a knife to the heart when Mushfiq returned and threw himself at Klow's back. The Falling Star Master quickly countered with a judo throw that sent Mushfiq through a building, but this put them closer to the wellfire and created an opening. Clem called out to the well, Mushfiq joined them, as did Saeeda, who invoked another of Prince Khattam's names, and the well responded with a vision. The crew saw what they always knew, that Prince Khattam had been cast out of the sky, that he fell and landed on a temple, the first temple, the site of the well. Across the city, in his prison cell, Bidrohi and his guard, an undercover vigilant, watched on as the tower of stars above the well caught on fire and slowly transformed into a tree. Bidrohi had a pretty good idea who was responsible for this, and the vigilant advised him to make a quick getaway if this was the case. All the demon houses would know what had happened, and the crew would be enemy number one. The vigilant could help him escape. The price was information on what had just happened and on Munna. Back at the well, Klow was on fire, but it didn't seem to hurt him, at least not at first. He walked over to Saeeda and told them that he wished them to see the horror they had just unleashed, and then he let the fire consume him. But it wasn't quite over. The fire was superheating the mirror above the well, threatening to shatter it, and the keeper of the mirror, Iskandar Ansarek, was making his way up to investigate. In a masterful display of manipulation, Saeeda convinced him that actually the crew shouldn't get into trouble over this, and he should just take care of it, which he did. Elsewhere, the other demon houses started to take notice of these events. Ixis may have actually killed itself to make faking his death more plausible. In Ixis' absence, the pulse of Ixis, who had foreseen these events, mobilized his followers and rose to the top of the house. Ankuset, the lawkeepers, were at crisis mode, but their underling, Captain Peregrine, had a pretty good idea of where to begin his investigations. Anrakis was quite excited about all this. They could stab the Prince of Endings all over again, and would make it for a good song. And Ankayat started investigating the magic behind the Prince of Endings' return, and they started with Shahryar, encasing him in wax and sending tendrils of water into him to search his thoughts. Having committed high treason, the crew went underground. Their base was no longer safe. It was lucky then that they had already started looking for a new one. Thank you for listening to Desperate Attune. You can support us with a one-time donation on Ko-fi or for $1 a month on Patreon for access to bonus content such as experience, post-game banter, and a newsletter from Tree.
Uduasha City, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow, where dancers cavort in forbidden operas, making love to forgetting and flame, where the wealthy play at war with silver swords and silken sashes, where the people mine the dead heart of a burning star for cannonballs and pipework, and where 1,000 secrets hide in a forest of paper and ink. Here, the 5 keybearers reside, the 5 who know the secrets of the broken gates of death. 5 only. There is no 6th spire, forlorn and forgotten in the desert. There is no one who looks to the displaced, the poor and destitute and landless, whose ancestry has been stripped from them by foreign looms and foreign sparkcraft, and no one has ever heard of the House of Endings. But this is their story. Their roots pulled up and burned, they stand in filth up to their necks, and that is precisely why they must keep their heads ever high. Welcome to Uduasha, immigrant. May it fear the name of the house you will build. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about characters with their identities in peril, played by an international cast devoted to fiction-first gaming, collaborative world-building, and complex character drama. And so, I think I want to frame this as, there is a small, derelict farmhouse in Gilly Gilly Gully. And we can paint the scene together about this, but this is the place where you will now hide out after this incident.
Oh, so we have to move to Gilly Gilly Gully?
Well, I thought that was where you wanted your lair to be.
No, we specifically didn't want it to be. We wanted to stay in Bunderwest.
Okay, right, I see. So you wanted it, your lair in Bundervest. In that case, I think that your new lair is in Morphis Pie's basement.
Mm. Wait, the tea shop owner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, where
He
is
used
he
to live
based?
in our backyard and never in his.
Yeah. He kept selling in your backyard. We established that he has a house on the banks of the river.
I see. So his personal
where you were
basement.
hanging out and chilling and speaking to him. Yeah, not the basement of his shop, but of the basement of his home. I think that's an interesting location for it because it's right on the banks of the river. So it's mobile accessible and it has been established before.
Okay. I would like to paint on this a bit. Not to paint the scene, but like so he's a fairly poor guy. So he doesn't actually have a basement, by which I mean he didn't buy a house with a basement. He bought a house and he found a basement.
Yes. That was the direction I was going to. Yeah.
And when I say basement, I mean a big ass vault with cisterns and so on. It's somewhere that the water bearers supposedly forgot about. So it's quite big. It's quite spacious.
Yeah, makes sense.
And possibly, and the only people who would know about this, if at all, are the water bearers. And that's not a problem at all. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Mhm.
I think this establishes a sense of location fairly well. Anyone who wants to can add on a detail. I don't have any particular prompts for this, but anyone who wants to can add some details to this basement. And then I think I want to cut to and do a scene in this basement.
Well, I think that this basement is strangely suffused with light because we have brought the wildfire in with us. Why?
How?
How is it lit? Not clear. What would you cover in order for the light to stop emerging? Nothing, because it just appears. Then how does it know, like how to cast a shadow? Don't ask.
Okay, so Saeeda can just so you're saying Saeeda's not summoning fire, Saeeda's just summoning light. You just have a magically lit basement.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
the spirit well in our hidden lair is the light that somehow suffuses the area. It probably also gives us some it's so weird that like anyone looking for this lair kind of the eyes slide past, right? Like it's like camouflage.
Yeah. Right. Anyone who wants to add more scenes, more details to this area, please do. Then I'm going to hard frame a scene.
Yeah,
in
not
it.
me. I already said what it was, so I don't think it's fair.
Yeah. We have this weird light. Clem, Mushvik, you want to add anything?
Escape tunnels.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. It has escape tunnels that were originally maintenance tunnels when the water bears ran this place, but now they are escape tunnels.
Also, more ways for the water bearers to enter, if they want to.
Yes.
Why would they?
Yeah, and as you say, they have probably forgotten about this place since it doesn't seem to have been maintained for a while. Clem, do you want to add a detail?
Yeah, it is bone dry down here. And I think sometimes there is what sounds like the brush of scales against scales, just very quietly in the shadows.
Love it. The last detail I want to add is that in order to cover up this place better, right, like it would be suspicious if people weren't coming and going as usual. And so in order to provide cover for the coming and going, Alkader has set up the home above to be used for like bullshit. I think it's Alkader's contribution. So, you can enter and leave under the context of like, oh, we're having a sewing meeting or something. So Alkader is just organizing a bunch of random community events in Morvis's house now.
Great, fantastic.
And like extremely innocuous one. It's not, Ketrusi resistance meetings, nothing political. It's just normal shit like sewing meetings, tea parties.
So is Priti Chandra Videha coming with him?
Probably not. I feel like this is such a rundown place. It's not for fancy events. It's just Alkader organizing, community events, nice things, little chess tournaments, little voluntary Sunday school classes, that sort of thing. But it means there's a constant banging of feet above you. But the idea is, right, that he arranges this when you don't want to get in or out, just so that there are always people coming and going, and so that you coming and going is not particularly noticeable. This is his angle.
Muy bien.
Brothers, the pawn can always become any piece, but never the king.
Yes.
What can we conclude from this? That's his idea of a chess lesson, by the way.
Yes, yes,
okay.
of course.
That's good to know. I was wondering where you were going with that, but I'm glad you clarified.
And so what this contributes is that this area downstairs is like bone dry and like well lit, but on occasion there's just like a lot of noise from upstairs of people walking about and such.
Mm.
But now it is not, because in the scene I want to frame now, it is night. And so what is happening here, I think, is that Clem, Mushfik, and Saeeda, you are hiding out down here. You need to catch some rest. You're very exhausted. You're like wounded. You and possibly some of your cohort is here, like Bald Murad, maybe Aaron. Up to you who you want to introduce in the scene. But when I'm starting the scene, you are all asleep after this hit, or maybe not asleep, but trying to. Right? You're in the dark. You're trying to catch some rest. When I think the door is opened and Al-Qadir surreptitiously sneaks Bidrohi in, which is, I think, a surprise to everyone, because Bidrohi isn't supposed to be out of jail for like a few more weeks. But like the door opens, and I'm sure at least people like Mushfik and Clem are vigilant enough that you like wake up if someone enters the room, even if he doesn't knock, right? I assume that's the kind of people you are.
Yeah, I mean, Mushfik, do you think maybe him and Clem are up, kind of maybe huddled together and talking lowly about what happened?
Oh, that does sound nice, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're very close to Clem's been getting closer. Closer than we might have been before.
Yeah. And then the door creaks open to a crack. And I guess you hear, I guess you see Al-Qadir's face lean into the light. And he goes, "Brothers!" in an attempt to whisper, but he's still fairly loud.
Oh my god.
And then immediately a finger goes from behind him and like puts it and like shushes him. And then Bidrohi comes in, and then he kind of like he literally tiptoes, and then he does a somersault across the room, trying to go into the shadows. And then he kind of like puts his head out with his hand over his eyes, kind of like checks if the coast is clear, and then tiptoes across the room again. He's intentionally acting like a theater burglar.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I think Mushfik just silently observes all of this. I think immediately what would happen is when the door opens, like the reaction for someone like Mushfik would be to sort of get into a fighting stance, but then he sees this and doesn't know what to make of this at all.
But you were in the theater.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I guess you want me to play along? It's like, oh, who's there?
Who goes there?
Nothing but us pigeons. Hey Mushfik bhai, how's it going?
Could be better.
He says from behind the sofa. And then he pokes his head out. I'm just playing. It's me, Bidrohi. I'm back.
Oh, yeah, Bidrohi. I didn't see you come in. Yeah. I think we're going to take a glance at Clem and, do you know what's going on?
Hello, sibling Clem.
When did you come in? When did you come in?
I've been here.
5 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago.
Actually, it's just been 30 seconds.
Clem visibly relaxes.
I think in a rare moment of Al-Qadir actually respecting your privacy, I think he is not interjecting. He like closes the door. He was literally just here to like smuggle Bidrohi inside because he knows where this is, right? And Bidrohi also needs hiding because he is a fugitive at the moment.
No, Al-Qadir, sir, stay.
Oh, very well. All right. Then he comes in and closes the door behind him.
Where is the Ustad?
Yeah, where is Saeeda at this time?
Also, what's up with that? I say, pointing at the light.
Yeah, strange, isn't it? Excuse me. I think Saeeda is also trying to sleep, but is kind of like in an... I don't want to say... I mean, does the basement have more than one room? I guess if we have quarters,
Surely.
it must.
Yeah.
We said this was a water bearer.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so she's... Yeah, she's somewhere inside. and then she's tossing and turning because obviously unable to sleep. But they have earplugs in because in the failed attempt that this may help somehow.
So you're asleep.
No, I'm not. I just can't hear anything.
Okay.
But if you come in and you say something like shake me, I will be like, yeah, I'm awake. What's up?
No, but I think as far as everyone's concerned, you're asleep, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think as he asks where Saeeda is, and I guess like he's told that she's went to bed, he'd be like, "How's she doing?"
Saeeda?
Saeeda. Ustad.
Seemingly okay. But she's good at seeming.
That is
She
true.
hasn't gloated once about vanquishing Jai-Clev, so probably well affected.
So I guess I've been told about Jai-Clev being vanquished.
I don't think so. I think now is when you're being told, because I don't see Alkader knowing about it.
Oh, I
and
see.
he's probably the only person you've spoken to before being taken here. So
Okay. And I think it says something that Bidrohi is like, "Oh wow, okay, that's interesting to know that also happened." But I have to say, Jai-Clev being vanquished seems to be like kind of a footnote to the whole Prince of Endings thing. How's she dealing with that? Seemingly fine?
Seemingly.
And how are you all dealing with that? I had a vision.
Yeah. What was in yours?
Me falling through the stars, coming down. Something about royalty. I forget exactly. I forget the visions exactly. You know, like it's one of those things where you know what it is, but it's hard to describe it afterwards. I remember the feeling.
Yeah, Bushwick just nods and goes, yeah, that checks out. Clem, yours was about the same, I imagine.
Yes. Was about the same. It's, well, we've been recovering. We haven't had time to speak.
Okay. Al-Qadr sir, how much do you know about all of this?
well, I pieced together from the tales and the poetry and Saeeda's esteemed teachings that's a tree over the well and no longer a tower. So now I suppose it is the tree of stars. He says, trying to make this seem like it makes, he is convincing himself of the narrative at the moment.
Why shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know the meaning of An-Khatam?
I'm aware, he says, and I think this much is true.
Al-Qadar's from our village, yeah? Like
Yeah.
He is An-Khatam.
He is.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and I think he's the sort of person who would. I think he is also aware of the stories, right? And so he's sort of vaguely piecing this together in the way that a folk historian might.
Mhm.
But he, of course, doesn't. He hasn't had like supernatural insight himself.
Yeah.
It's not like this affected everyone with your last name. The only reason Bidrohi saw it is that he hooked in via Bound in Darkness. Bidrohi doesn't know that, but that's the only reason why he saw this vision despite being away from the well, right? So.
Al-Qadr sir, I need to go talk to my family very soon. First of all, do you think that's safe?
It can be arranged. I can bring them here under the pretense of attending a sewing class.
That could.
Yes.
Maybe that's better. Can you bring my mother and Uzra here as well?
Yes, of course.
I think since we are talking about this now, actually reflecting on what happened, I think we might be having some kind of identity crisis of sorts again, because a lot of what happens, I mean, it sort of made sense, but again, it doesn't. If the Prince of Endings, which shares our name, fell from the skies here, why is our village of Al-Khatam somewhere else? What what was we really fighting for over there?
Yeah.
The name, the place, it's all very important, and now it's sort of unraveling.
Yes. By the way, that is entirely Saeeda's fault, because Saeeda is the person who's been weaving this narrative and making it true. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, did Saeeda somehow displace us in the past? Is that?
Yeah, it is very confusing. Saeeda is not a straightforward person by any means.
You know what? Yeah. Okay. You know what? Mushfiq's going to just walk over to Saeeda. Mushfiq's going to walk over to where Saeeda's sleeping or pretending to sleep, and
shake her awake.
pull the earplugs out of her ears. Just pop them out and go. Saeeda, did you displace us in the past?
What? Why would you ask me? No, I haven't displaced us in the past. What a ridiculous question. Saeeda says in a way, in an accent and voice you've genuinely never heard from them before.
Yeah, and Mushfiq, I think, normally, very silly, I think does also drop his voice and just stare Saeeda directly in the eye and go, "Did you displace us in the past? Where are we actually from?"
What do you mean? We're from the village An Khatam, obviously, which originally we were the loyal servants of the prince. Then when he was cast down, we had to flee the scene of the crime lest we be utterly destroyed. And then, after a long and hard road, we found ourselves back here. But we were welcomed in Kethoris. Kethoris is our homeland. How could it not be?
Then why is the Prince of Endings here?
Because we landed here. He landed here, but it was not safe for us. It's possible that Saeeda has put in a refugee story into her origin story to justify her own refugee story.
Mm-hmm.
I got that feeling. Yes.
I think in the background, Bidrohi is just leaning back, and he says, "Hey, sibling Clem, try this," and I throw them a cucumber.
What is this?
Cucumber. Tasty.
It's green.
Tasty.
It doesn't taste like anything.
Tastes like water.
Would you like half as well?
No, I had plenty. If you don't want to finish it, I can have half, but you can. That's for you. And you see that it has like Clem written on it with a knife.
I would like it all, but I would like to share it with you as well. As a thank you.
Why are you thanking me? Oh, for giving you the cucumber. Okay.
Yes, that. And
Yeah.
I suppose as well, you and your sister were the ones to recruit me into this.
You're thanking me for that, right? Okay. So I guess I know how you feel.
Me before. Yes.
So I can gather from the vague sounds of conversation, by which Bidrohi means the shouting. That I can gather from the vague sounds of conversation from Saeeda's room that Mushfiq Bhai has not been taking it very well.
No, he has not.
Yeah. So I think I just remarked to Clemens, once they have sorted out whatever it is they're sorting out in there, and my mom's here, I think we should have a big conversation about what this means and what we think it means. Ustad Saeeda has been telling us what it means until now, but I have a feeling now that maybe, just maybe, just hear me out. I'm test driving this notion on you first. Okay, I have this feeling that maybe Ustad Saeeda doesn't entirely know what's going on, and she does not have the monopoly on the truth. One could even say that she's something of a liar.
Wow. Brave words.
And I think this is great, actually.
But she's loyal.
Yeah. Because it seems that she's what we might call a true liar.
Yeah.
Are you planning on having this conversation as soon as your family get here, or?
I think so.
Okay. It's as good a time as any, the middle of the night. Your sister will be tired.
I don't think there is any good time to receive this sort of conversation.
I received orders once, in the middle of the night. And those orders killed half of my battalion. Maybe if we had waited till the morning, maybe a third would have died instead.
Sounds like the problem was the orders, not the time of day.
But a wait may save us some of that pain.
Well, Alcatraz is already on his way to get them.
I'll defer to your superior judgment, then.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. Either way, I can't not have them come now.
As I said, I'll defer to your superior judgment.
Yep, Bidrohi nods. And I guess we just sit there in silence.
Yep.
Punctuated by, are we in the past or are we not?
On that, what Saeeda said about how when the Prince of Endings landed here and it was not safe for us here, and then we had to leave, and we've just brought the Prince of Endings back. He goes, does it mean it's not safe for us again? Do we have to uproot everything and leave one more time?
Nothing will be unsafe for us again. He has come. He will protect us. We have spoken his names.
It doesn't sound like he did such a great job last time. What makes it different now?
Because this time he has us. They were only able to destroy him through trickery, but we have learnt from them, and we have employed guile of our own. You must have faith, Mushfiq. But I would also ask you to remember that the greatest swordsman this city may have ever produced, whom none of us could even touch, was set alight by the prince through a single prayer.
Yeah, I think, like, alluding to the success and that we're here does soothe him a little bit. But I think he'll kind of sigh and goes, like, sure, but say that, like, sometimes it'd just be nice to know what the hell is going on.
Well, now that it's happened, now that it will have always happened, I think what we must accept is that this idea that we belong only in one place, we are the people of the world. Kethris is our home, and so is Uduasha. And wherever the ancestor trees grow, there we may remain. I don't want you to feel that, whatever you went through, the struggles with your Eurostad, meant nothing. No, of course not. They meant everything. If we had not survived all this time, we could not have brought him back. And now that he is back, he will ensure we do not have to struggle in that fashion again. And I do not think he promises us safety from all pain. I do not think that he wishes us to be dependent on him forever, not like the other noble houses. But if we find ourselves against an obstacle, whether the blade of Clev or the muskets and the jazales of Omid and his ilk, we will no longer be cut down. So if you would like to trust anything, trust that.
Yeah, Mushfiq sort of stares off into the darkness a bit, mulls, all this information. And then he gives a slight nod and he goes, yeah. All right. Excuse me, Saeeda. I've got to go away for a bit. Need to draw up some battle plans.
Yes, absolutely. If you need me, I'll be here. I do need to take a nap, mostly. Let me know if you come across some mango, would you?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Great.
The next thing that happens, I guess, is Usra and Moonlit appearing, right? Yeah, sure thing. So this happens. They are led by Al-Qadir into this basement. Probably both of them quite confused, like huddled under shawls, a little bit disguised. Definitely not knowing what's going on. And I think Al-Qadir, while he is a bit of a buffoon, he operates on a need-to-know basis here, and that makes sense. So he's just been like, trust me, just come along. All will make sense. So they're coming in with that sort of vibe where they have no idea that they're about to meet Bidrohi, or indeed what the hell is happening. But they're ushered in. Usra lights up as she sees him, and she goes, Bidrohi! And just runs up and hugs you. Whereas I think Moonlit has the energy of like, she is happy to see you, but also this is very worrying. Have you, you've escaped from prison, that can't be good. And also, of course, I mean, she saw the tree. So.
Yeah. I hold my sister, lots of kisses, and then I walk up to my mother, and then, with the other arm, I hug her. Then I think, after, the necessities, I think Bidrohi says, we should all talk. We should all talk about this tree and the future. Mushfiq bhai, I say, as I imagine that's when you're storming out, right?
Yes. And Mushfiq glowers at him.
Mushfiq bhai, stop making that face and come hang over here. Catch this, I say. Then I throw you the cucumber that says Mushfiq. Yeah, there's
the cucumber says Mushfiq on it?
Yeah, I wrote it with my knife.
Oh, okay, lovely. Mushfiq eats it angrily.
Yeah. Moonlit has a cucumber that says mom, but like the O is a heart. Usra has 2 cucumbers because she deserves it.
I assume when you say cucumbers, it's one whole cucumber. It's not been cut into pieces or anything.
That's the whole cucumber.
Yeah, so Mushfiq just angrily takes a bite out of a whole cucumber.
Yeah, good. So you're pacified. It's have a Snickers something.
Yeah.
So everyone's got cucumbers. There's a cucumber for Saeeda, and I say, is she coming out?
Saeeda? No, she's gone back to sleep.
Okay, well, there's no time for that.
Or gone back to pretending to sleep.
Mom, let's go get Saeeda.
I will fetch her, Moonlit says.
I can't go back to get Saeeda because I just left that scene dramatically. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Saeeda's like, well, Mushfiq left dramatically, so I guess he wants to be out there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I send my mom in there because my mom's very good at getting people out of bed.
Yeah, and I think Moonlit steps into Saeeda's room, and she just says, she has a great deal of respect for Saeeda, but she says, I'm sorry to disturb you, but my son wishes to speak, and I think you should be there lest he says something
silly, unwise. Indeed, yes. Well,
thank you.
It appears that my best attempts at sleeping have not succeeded, and then I also had a conversation with Mushfiq. So perhaps we should indeed convene. Give me a moment.
Of course.
And I think she is going to come out in clothes that you've never seen her in before, because probably these are clothes that her mothers gave her. That
Okay.
maybe like one of them. We've never really named either of them, and now it's like I guess more poignant to not know their names either. But it's like maybe salwar and a kameez that they used to wear. And it's old and comfortable. It's kind of like being in their pajamas, but at the same time, you can see it's probably like the only thing that really survived Kethris, right? And it's not particularly nice even necessarily. It's just that like this was what they had time and space to grab and run with.
Ustad, you're looking great. Here is an offering from me, your apprentice, to you, my Ustad. And I kneel down and I extend a paper bag in which is collected all the stuff in the last fruit platter that Samson gave me.
Oh, I will look in and I will pull out a cucumber and I'll sniff and I'll say, fresh, an incredible boon. I am honored by your gift, young Bidrohi. I foresee great things in your future. No mango, well, not a disappointment.
Like
I beg your pardon?
Why do you sound like that?
Like what? I'm just waking up. That's all it is.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, not to worry.
Okay. Sorry that there's no mango in there, but I feel like you're the kind of person that if I gave you a mango, you'd spit on it because, well, you know what a real mango's like, that kind of thing.
Bidrohi, why would that sounds like a terrible thing for anybody to do? No, I would be honored by anything you gave me, including a mango.
Okay.
Don't put yourself down like that. You're a warrior and a proud man.
I will be a warrior and not a warrior. Thank you. Okay, very good. Yes, please. Okay, so I asked everyone to be here because I think we should talk about the thing, you know, the thing, the Tower of Stars turning into a Tree of Stars, as Al-Qadir sir so eloquently put it. Al-Qadir's still here, right?
Yeah, he is. And he nods along.
Yeah. He also has a cucumber.
Oh, of course he does. He is. I think everyone else is just biting into theirs. I think Al-Qadir is making a point of making a cucumber sandwich out of his because he is a refined man. So this is what he's doing in the background. He is finely slicing it and taking out some bread he had brought and so on.
Yeah. In that case, I'm going to be an auntie and I will say, Al-Qadir, can you make me a salad?
Oh, yes.
I see you've brought your knife. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Exactly.
So now he's making cucumber sandwiches and a salad. Wonderful. But yes, this is what he's doing.
We're going on a picnic, guys.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I'll just get into it. But first, Mom, Uzra, did either of you have a vision?
No. Moonlit says, and she looks down at Usra, and Usra says, "What's a vision?"
It's like a dream, but it feels really, really important. You've had like important dreams, right? But like, they're still dreams. This you will know this isn't a dream.
Then I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. He says, kind of like ruffling her hair affectionately. But the four of us did. We saw this vision, and then I briefly describe it to Moonlit.
Yeah, I think also, I don't think they're here, but you would probably also know about, or like the rest of you would know about Pilot and Murad, who I think saw it too, because they were there, right?
Okay, just at the mission. Okay, so they were the only ones. Then they should be here, actually.
Yeah, I suppose that they are.
Okay. They have cucumbers too.
Yep.
But like the younger, like Bajal and Mona Darling weren't there at that time, right? So like they're not here either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told them, don't tell the others that you got cucumbers. I didn't bring enough for everyone. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so everyone, the Fellowship of the Cucumber is going to be privy to this conversation.
Lovely.
The Cucumber Council.
Yeah.
Cucumber Consortium. Okay, thank you.
So
Great.
some important things happened to me in the prison, and we should talk about them. Well, I'll just bring it up now so that it doesn't sound like I'm talking about the big thing, so that the small thing, you could just pass over it, okay? I talked to Munna. You all know Munna. I talked to Munna and we got to a deal. I know that sounds horrifying and possibly erodes your trust in me. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm happy to explain. We should, but anyway, in fact, I would have explained. In fact, this would have been the conversation we're having now. We would have been talking about Munna and what we talked about, because that's important as hell. But I think we have to first establish and conversate about this dream. Well, we all see the tree. We all saw that. The demon houses saw it. Everyone saw it. We know what it means. The 6 of us. We saw the vision. We saw Prince Khatam. And as I said when we first talked about this, Ustad, that this Prince of Endings thing has the danger of destroying us all. That's still a present danger. But I told you also that like I will follow you wherever you go. I will help you. And now it is done. And I saw this dream, and then I woke up, and there were words in my mouth. Words that I remember. And they were like this. And then he recites the stanza from the poem. And then he says, and I woke up knowing what it meant. I couldn't explain it, but I knew what it meant. And what it means to me is that now is the moment when we have a chance to make this make of things what we will. We have a chance to make the prince what we say it means. We have a chance to rewrite our destinies. And we each get to decide. All of us. And he looks at Clem, especially. It doesn't matter what blood runs in your veins. Like this is the beginning of something. And we get to decide what it is. And I think that's dangerous as hell. And we should... And then he kind of deflates a little bit. He says, and we should be aware that it is dangerous, but we should push forward. And I want to talk about that. He finishes a little lamely because, like, well, where does one go with this?
Yeah.
I think. All right. So Mushfiq, going off what he ended with Saeeda on, he says, "Look, the way I see it, we've just unleashed a powerful new weapon, one that will finally free us." Saeeda said earlier that we can make our home anywhere, that Ketris was our home, that Udwasha was our home, but actually neither is our home right now. But with this Prince of Endings on our side, the prince that shares our name, now's the time to strike. Strike against Serek or Ixis or whoever that tries to keep us down.
I agree. Our god is powerful, but that does not mean we should give up the element of surprise. No, I believe that if we must strike, it must be now. And if I recall correctly, Bidrohi, you have some idea of exactly whom to strike against, do you not?
I do. But before I get to that, I really Okay, we're striking, but what does it mean? What do we want? Because the person that you're thinking about, which is Venkatesh with the Majesty Bank, which Munna gave me some insight into. That's important, but that's for the Kethrisi community. That's and that's not unrelated, but like, how is it related? What do we want? And Mushfiq bhai, all respect to you, I understand that you don't think Uduasha is your home, but Uduasha is my home, and Uzra was born here. Okay, like they don't really accept us, but we do live here. And what happens if you use a weapon this big, right? What? So I'm not saying we shouldn't, but like, what do we want?
What we've always wanted: safety for our people, prosperity, chance to no longer run when we are being chased, but instead to stand strong.
I think Mushfiq nods and goes, yeah, I think I've been very clear about what we want. Some people might be happy just getting rice, and he looks meaningfully at Al-Qadr. But it's not enough for me that others will be the movers and shakers in the world, and we just have to pick up what's left over. That's not enough for our people. It never has been. We'll make our own way in this world.
Does it mean a 6th demon house?
Whatever it means.
This is the time to decide, Mushfiq bhai.
Then yes.
Yeah, I think Al-Qadr speaks up since you looked at him. And I think he says, I think it means, well, as I understand it, Saeeda, you have just destroyed a table. I think the question is, do we want a seat at the table or do we want to destroy it? And he looks meaningfully at Mushfiq.
Indeed. It is a question quite important, no? For I know that Bidrohi quite likes the table we are sitting at, but it no doubt rests on the backs and necks of many of our people.
I think if Al-Qadr is trying to, do a gotcha on Mushfiq, it's really not going to work.
I think he's genuinely asking the question, like, do you want to see us represented, or do you want to see the system brought down, right? And it seems like you're saying you want the system brought down. So he falls quiet.
Yeah, I think Bidrohi puts a suggestion forward, which is, if the table is Uduasha, then yes, I love it. Right, I grew up here. I wasn't born here, but I grew up here. This is my city as far as I'm concerned. I'm connected to Kethris, I'm connected to Khatam, but they are not my homes. And I've been, struggled with that a little bit, but I've learned to accept it. If the table means demon houses, falconers, Ursan, Bunderwest, all this bullshit, no. I do not love that table. I don't think Uduasha means that table. I really don't. I think it's possible for there to be something else. But I know that, it's like, maybe there's a problem in the construction of the house, but to fix the thing, you have to deconstruct the entire house. And while you're doing that, where are you living? Maybe that analogy isn't perfect, but like, you know what I mean. Riots, war, taking on 5 gods, essentially. I'm not ready for that. So what I think, I don't know if this is possible, but just hear me out. If there is this Prince of Endings, and he is now real, and he is manifested, and we are his house, as we are, like legally, right? We are House and Khatam. There's paperwork. instead of being like the upstarts who want to have the 6th house and like our own palace and I don't know, oppress the Kethrisi or whatever, why don't we take a royal title and a royal god and go back to Kethris and take the land back from the people who took it from us, the gentlemen? Why don't we do that? This way, we'll have our power. Uduasha will not control us because we will have our own prince in Kethris. We will always be represented. We will always be powerful. We will fight the people who directly affected us. This may be even... Okay, this is obviously a threat to the 5 princes, but it's a lot better than that threat being in their very heartland, Like, and I can see your eyes. It's not the case that, we exile ourselves to Kethris because that's where we belong. I think I might like to stay here. But that doesn't mean I can't be part of that fight. And if I stay here, it'll be as an honored person. Someone who is of a royal people. Not a royal family, a royal people. Kethrisi. Is this possible? And if not, why not? Why can't we make it possible?
Yeah. Alcader, I think, is taking in this is probably the first time ever in your dynamics where Alcader is listening to you as you once listened to him. And he initially says nothing, but I think you can see that he agrees with you.
I'm curious to hear what Clem has to say here. By which I mean Saeeda's gonna raise their eyebrows at Clem as if to be like, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't think Clem does. They don't even meet Saeeda's eyes, just looking down quietly in thought.
If it is the desire of the Rising Moon School, go to Kethris and liberate it, then that is what we shall do. I am afraid that I am done making decisions. I have led us here so that others can lead us forward. However, I do have a kinship with Uduasha. I would be sad to see it go. And my ties to Kethris do not seem quite so tight as they once were. But I will follow any lead, and I will lead wherever you tell me to follow.
I don't think Bidrohi necessarily expected this route, but you see like a resolve in his eyes. And he looks at Mushfiq.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. He just wants to see what Mushfiq has to say about this. He's not claiming leadership. He just wants to see what you think.
All right. And what my goal is that I would love nothing more than to go back and liberate Kethris. After all, it's all I've been trying to do. But before we do, we need to cover our tracks. We need to make sure that we are not followed. And that means crippling the houses here before we leave. They'll find out what's going on soon enough. I'm sure some already know.
Quite right. We must put ourselves in a position where we can negotiate from a position of strength. Alcader chimes in.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Correct. You are absolutely right. Not a thing that Saeeda ever thought that they would think. Here we are now.
Then Bidrohi looks at Clem to see if Clem is going to look at him.
Eventually they do.
Okay, that's fine. I think Bidrohi then stands up and he takes his mother's hand. And then he says, then, if you'll allow me, I would like to declare myself Sardar Bidrohi, and I would like to declare this the people's government of Kethris in exile.
You ask your mother for permission to declare this the government.
Oh no, I'm looking at everyone, but I'm holding her hand.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, because not because she's my mom, not just because of that, and in fact that's important, but also because, well, she is my connection to Kethris.
Yeah, I think she sighs, but she smiles quietly. She looks at you, and if she is the first to say something, right? She says, "This time, you remind me of your father." And she says it in a low voice, and she refers, of course, to your real father, the poet.
I think there's tears in his eyes. And then it says, "Now, let's discuss how we first bloody their noses so that they can't sniff our tracks." And then he mentally thinks, "Damn, that's what a poet would say."
Yes. I think Saeeda will say, and we must arrange an election, no? You must have a cabinet if you're going to be a government. Can't just be you, otherwise then you're just a Raja like the folks here.
No, they call that the Vanguard Party. That's what we are.
This is the cabinet, I guess, because it's a government of, what, 9 people?
We must find others, and there must be accountability, Bidrohi. Come now.
Yes. Alkader says, "I will find others. I will find people of the community. I will arrange them. It will be a movement, a 6-house movement, and we shall found it here and now."
The 6-house movement.
Yes.
Wait, is it 9 people counting Uzra? The child?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
if there is a government of Kethris in exile, then she is one of the citizens, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
She can be the minister for children. It's important to represent all persons and all factions of society, including kids. So, maybe we should have a minister for children who's a child. No, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I take this back. Never mind.
No bedtimes. Bedtimes are illegal.
Either way, I think this is an area where Alkader is actually useful since he knows so many people connected to the community, right? So I think he can arrange the election down the line. He'll work on that. But for the moment, the government in exile is a little bit pressed. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's loads of stuff we should be doing for sure. I think it's funny if the election is something that's kind of happening in the background. I don't think we necessarily need to play it out or anything, but it seems like such a staple that we got to include it.
I'm sure it's on other people's mind too, but just to bring it up, that we did establish that there is sort of an informal council that we went to that nominated us. Yeah. So they'll be a bit surprised to
learn that we are.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's like this. We are not telling them that this is what's happening. We are saying that this is what's happening, and we'd like them to get in on this. We aren't we are in charge, but Bidrohi has a plan, and he's going to push forward. And if people want to be on board, that's great.
Yeah, and of course, it's an entire people spread out in a city. What you're proposing is bold. But, if you start a government, you got to start somewhere. You can't start with the entire people at once. That's not how this works. So
Yeah. Who declared the independence of Kethris? Bidrohi and Khatam. In this moment. But, who gets lead afterwards? We shall see. Aadiyat understands the resonance of this, I think.
Yes, I do understand the resonance of this.
Yeah, so I think what Bidrohi would propose, and this is just me out of character proposing, is that Harvest Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Which is the Kethrisi, that's when the Kethrisi it's basically the Kethrisi national birthday. It's I don't remember if we talked about this on it. I know we talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So
there is one holiday, which is when all Kethrisi celebrate. Basically, when all Kethrisi officially get older.
Yeah.
Right. It's how you count your age. It's how many of these festivals have you experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the New Year, essentially. Harvest Day is the New Year.
Yeah.
So they call it Harvest Day. Bidrohi is going to suggest that we have a big Harvest Day party where we make this official. And because that Even though that could be a logical next score, I think we're all hyped for this Majesty Bank thing. And I think like it'd be sick as hell.
Yeah. I think the bank score thing might also be a way to fund your Harvest Day party.
Exactly,
That sounds
that's what I mean.
expensive. So-
Absolutely.
That's exactly what
Yeah,
I mean.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
we do that and we invite the demon houses.
Ah, okay. Fantastic.
Mhm.
They're already in disarray, to be clear, because, like, sure, part of what they're doing is like who was responsible for this thing that happened to the Tower of Stars. That's absolutely part of what they're doing. But also, all of them are scrambling to keep their own assets secure in the chaos that ensues. So it's not like all 5 houses come down on you immediately. They're not nearly united enough for that.
Yeah. So we'll see how we can make that work. But the first thing we have to do is rob Majesty Bank. And I think the attitude that Bidrohi is now going to take to all these things is like, this is ours, fuck you. Yeah, we aren't criminals. This isn't a crime. How can this be a crime?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Very
We
good.
know it's a crime, but we will pretend it's not. Sheer confidence and bullshit will win the day, as it has so far.
I mean, let's be real. That is the foundation of Aadiyat. So really,
Exactly. That's the lesson that is taken now.
Very good. That leads into the scene I wanted with Saeeda, actually. But I think there's still more to this scene. Or is there?
yeah, I think the thing that like Saeeda will just flag as like we kind of do this is that they will say not everybody wants to go back, and we will have to make sure that when we leave, we safeguard those who wish to stay. And I suspect that if others want to join us, they may wish to join us from the places they are from, as they must be permitted to. Though the demon houses themselves think they only rule Uduasha, no god of ours will be deaf to the pleas of the downtrodden in the Dagger Isles, Severus, Skovlan. It is worth thinking about. I have no solutions, but it is worth thinking about.
Bidrohi scratches his chin a little bit and says, I don't think we can be public about the whole world revolution angle.
No, but word will spread that the Prince of Endings safeguards. We must be ready for that.
And we will. As to keeping people safe here, I mean, I'll reiterate. Maybe it wasn't clear. I don't want to go to Kethris myself. I want to go back and lead the fight, liberate the place. But I don't want to be like the first elected leader or dictator or whatever the hell, Just want to set the thing up. And I want to come back to the city I love. Though who knows?
You can do a startup and then you can sell it for profit, and you can do another startup here. I've also been reading these books.
Saeeda calling back to Bidrohi's business books. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a visionary founder.
And I must admit that if we go back to Kethris, we will be able to see Moss, which will be a delight and a treasure.
Oh, that'd be really nice. I think Bidrohi kind of like looks a little far away. Oh yeah, the Munna thing. I wanted to tell you guys about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Munna is trying to get... Basically, he wants to get his hooks back into the Kethrisi community. He probably already has them, to be honest. My idea behind this was that, well, we can't stop people like Munna, so you have to kind of like figure out a way to manage your relationship with them in a way where you still get what you want, while they continue to exploit and parasitize you in ways you are not aware of. That was my idea then. Now it's more like, these parasites are so small. Maybe on some like more macro level, you can be aware that they're fucking with you. But honestly, it's not really worth thinking about anymore anyway. So he gave me information that's going to be useful. He wants us to do a little bit of this and that for him. Maybe we can discuss these things as we get to them. But so long as they're in our interests, I think we can just do our thing. Having an international crime boss supporting us could be definitely something that is not to be scoffed at. in the context of leading a revolution.
Who knows? He may also become a devotee.
Would you like me to arrange a meeting?
Mhm.
He says, his eyes
I
sparkling.
find myself intrigued by this man. I've heard so much about him, and yet, yes, I would like to meet this man. But
Okay.
that is for another day.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very good. He says. And I think that basically covers all the territory we needed to cover, no?
Okay, good. So I had one more scene which I wanted to do with Saeeda, just to touch back
Yes.
on things Saeeda has been concerning. And I think it will be a good place to wrap up the session, even though it has been a very Bidrohi and Saeeda heavy session. I hope that's all right.
I don't have a problem. It's really for Aadiyat and Soltis to say.
Yeah, just checking in. Everyone okay?
I think we should, like, I got what I wanted from that.
Yeah?
That is true. I
Salty?
did enjoy that comment.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Salty,
sorry.
you okay?
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to check in with everyone so that everyone's feeling good. All right. Saeeda, you find yourself walking the streets of Ypres. Maybe you walk it in a dream. Maybe you are,
Maybe I've been dreaming and now I'm awake.
yeah, you're not entirely sure how you wound up here. It is just one of these things that happened. But you find yourself wandering around the old city. And you find, sitting near the water, which somehow Ypres connects to the water, near the reservoir, you find a dock very similar to the Ruby Jetty where you used to go fishing. And sitting by the water is not your friend Shahryar. It is Salman, the sorcerer, the king of lies.
Yes. To whom I am a loyal vizier. Indeed.
Yes. And he sits there and he says, "My vizier, I have seen what has happened, and I have summoned thee, for I need thy counsel. Sit."
As you have
He
summoned me,
gestures
I
at
have
the
appeared.
grass. Yeah, he gestures at the grass that is his bizarre royal court.
I sit down cross-legged.
Yeah, this like strange beggar king that is the king of lies, right? An ascetic at heart. And he says, a thought has occurred to me, and as I am the king of lies, I wish to know whether this thought is of my domain or without it.
It is, of course, my duty and my privilege to advise you on such worries.
Thank you, Vizier. I thought, when I saw what happened to the Tower of Stars, I thought this: stars do not have minds. They are not gods. They are simply fire that may be imbued with memories which are false, which may be given narrative power, which may be made into something wholly new, which has never before existed. But stars do not have minds of their own. Is this a lie? And he smiled.
And for a brief moment, a thought flickers across Saeeda's mind, which is, if ever there was a time to knife him in the back, it is now.
Yes.
I wonder if the Prince of Endings has any... If I were to, for a brief moment, think of him in the hope that he might guide me towards whatever he prefers, or whether I am free to act as I wish.
I think in this moment, what I will tell you is, it is not impossible for you to convert Salman to your cause, right? Like, he is the king of lies.
Yeah.
He is a very strange sorcerer, but it is not like he is opposed to strange entities. He might very well be persuadable, but he's asking you now if stars do indeed, if stars can be gods, because he is saying, of course, stars are just fire. Is this a lie?
Yeah, and I will say, oh my king, you know as well as I that the difference between a truth and a lie is not in the world itself. For here in Ypres, things can be both truth and lies at once. If there is a lie in what you have spoken, it is this: that stars are anything at all. That we know that which is in the sky is the same as that which is in the ground. Perhaps these two have never been connected. And when I once sailed out into the void sea and saw into the depth an ocean of glittering flame, that I was not seeing stars, but merely a mirror. But if it is enlightenment you seek, though there are 3 names now given to the Prince of Endings, 2 remain yet to be discovered. You could yet be one of those names.
You offer me to be a name, to be a lie spoken in reference to a thing, in reference indeed to a god. A name is a very great lie indeed.
What greater lie for the king of lies than this?
I am convinced you have given me a great gift, Vizier. So, I suppose you are right. My kingdom has no boundaries. It matters not so much whether this tree, whether the tree of stars, is very old or very young, whether it is as old as civilization and has been here forever, or whether it was dreamed up just now in a basement under a tea vendor's house. Does it?
All that matters, O my king, is that if you succeed in your quest, then the destiny they would have conferred upon you will pale in front of the lie that you will become.
Very well. I suppose that you have answered my question. The kingdom has no boundaries. The age of it does not matter. I am satisfied. And he turns to look at the tree. And he like takes it in, right? Like hands on his hips. He inhales, he admires it. And then he says, I think simply, I bow to thee, mother.
And as he bows, you can see Saeeda remove the butterfly knife and flick it once and then just stash it back, because it is the duty of the loyal vizier to stab their king just as he is most trustworthy of them. But she also knows that the Prince of Endings will not. That is not the kind of practice she wants from her god. So
yeah, you are shaping it here, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. But I could have shaped it differently, right? And then I could have named myself the King of Lies. For that is what the Kingdom of Lies is. But I chose not to.
And yeah, I suppose there's but one thing as you bring him into the fold. I wanted to see where this would go with Salman, but I think he has one more thing to tell you. And he says, then after me, just one more name remains. Is that so?
That is so, oh my king.
Then let me look upon you again, my loyal vizier, for it is written, you will not live to hear it spoken.
I'm afraid, my king, I have always known that. But in ensuring you have become a name, I know you will see it through to its end. And I think that's really why it's not even it's partially idealism, but partially it's pragmatism, right? Like this guy is he's not about to let this go unfinished.
No. I think he touches his forehead to yours in a very great act of trust, which has never before passed between you. And long ago, right, it was established that Saeeda would not see the end of the end, but only the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And so I think now is when this comes to full front. It is written, you will die before the 5th name is spoken.
Absolutely. This is why I'm going to be spending all my time trying to finish the clock.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe that is a lie too. And I think that is the session.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clap, 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 clap.
Clap, 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 clap. Correct.
Yeah, I wanted to see Salman one more time. I don't know if he will be relevant again in the campaign is the thing. So I wanted one more scene with him.
Yeah, and I liked it. Like, I think I also didn't know where he would go. I kind of knew that they were linked, but like it just like came to me as I was saying it that I was like, oh man, let's just do it, right? Like, let's just combine them, and see where it goes. And it really made sense. I was afraid you were going to make me roll, and I'm glad to some extent that you didn't, because I don't know what I would have done if I'd failed. But
yeah, no. This was just a decision for you, because I was very much conscious of that. Like, you might just sacrifice him to your god, right? That was.
Yeah, I was really contemplating, but yeah absolutely.
Uh-huh. All right, then that is resolved.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, on that note.
Yeah. Next time we will do a big bank heist. Well, next time we will do downtime and preparations for a big bank heist, which will probably be what you will hear in the next episode. But be excited, because the preparations are going to be really interesting too. And after that, big bank heist. Classic staple of Blades in the Dark, but done in the context of this campaign. Don't miss it. It'll probably be ontological or some shit. But for now,
comment.
If you're a Patreon listener, feel free to stick around. And if you are not on Patreon, goodbye for now. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Here close the doors to the House of Endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Soap, Saumitri, called Tree, and Salty. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on kofi.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.
On the next Desperate Attune.
I think he just outright says, like, what you need to understand is that Clementine is a complicated person who primarily lives for the cause.
And Mushfik says that what you need to understand is I know that Clement's a complicated person because I don't really understand Clem.
Well, good. Well, good. That makes two of us then.